I noticed there aren't many Eddie Trunk fans in your chat room.
Oh, well, the Eddie Trunk, here's why. I personally like Eddie. I get along great with Eddie. I know I goof on him a little bit, but I get along with Eddie. Neeley on the other hand. You
had Eddie on your show?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple times. Neeley, on the other hand, hates Eddie. Neeley, as the story goes, Neeley... Nice.
Somebody posted a video of two elderly... What is that?
Two elderly guys.
Is that Shatner and Bach going at it?
They are.
Your chat room's pretty cool. I like that.
The chat room's ridiculous.
We could have a Sulu
Sulu versus Rachel Bolan on the undercard.
Look at the last one that was just posted.
Look, Sebastian, I fucked a green chick, you pussy. I like it. No, Neeley's problem with Eddie Trunk. Neeley runs around the country chasing Dokken. And he literally...
they're friends, aren't they?
Yeah, they're friends, and they hang out. And
I mean, he's not a stalker. Or
No. Anytime Neeley's anywhere near him, Don wants him to come out. Don and him are really tight friends.
Many years.
Yeah, and so they were at some fucking bullshit festival somewhere, and Neeley runs into Eddie Trunk. And this was before Eddie had started his podcast. And Eddie started asking Neeley about about podcasting and blah, blah, blah. Well, they talked for a little bit. Neeley always has his shirts with him. So Neeley gives Eddie a shirt. And he handed Eddie a shirt. 2 minutes later, he finds that Eddie threw the shirt away.
Oh. Like in the garbage or on the ground? Okay.
In the garbage. I guess it's in the garbage. So Neeley... Now that might be racist there. What the hell? I can't imagine why her eye is black. Or her child. Wow.
I can't look at your chat room anymore. It's just too funny.
But yeah, so now Neeley has a real case of the ass against Eddie for throwing away his T-shirt.
Oh, boy. God.
Which
Did he really throw it away?
Yeah.
Or was it just a...
I think he probably just pitched it. But you know what? I get it. And Bill, you probably get this too. When I was rolling with the metal show, and you even still, I mean, I've been with you when you're at shows and 400 people come up to you and shake your hand and take your picture and whatever because they know you from Metal on Metal. And I did it when I was doing the metal show all the time, fucking constantly. I'd be at a show and 14 people, hey, man, shake a hand, take a picture. Dude, do you remember when you said whatever it is? And you're always cordial about it. I mean, that's, I, for one, am always appreciative that anybody listens to my stupid shit. But, you try to be appreciative to it. But there are a lot of times when people hand you a bunch of bullshit. Here, take my disc, take my this, take my that. And meanwhile, now you're standing for the next 2 fucking hours holding 3 discs and 2 T-shirts and a cup and, all this shit. And it's like, and they won't let... Here's a secret, friends. Even though we might be known in town, they don't let us leave just like they don't let you leave. If we leave, we're gone. So we can't leave. So don't hand us the shit until we're leaving the building. Please. But I could see where Eddie probably gets handed a million things, and just threw it away. Just like, I'm not going to wear this shit. The problem was...
This isn't my size.
Yeah, well, the problem was...
Did Neeley see it in the trash?
Yes.
Oh, he saw it.
And that's why he's so mad about it.
So he was throwing something away, and he saw his shirt in there.
He saw the shirt being thrown out. So he fucking got pissed. So now Neeley hates Eddie. That's the story. I tried to justify it to Neeley one night, and he just wasn't hearing it. He was like, fuck that, I gave him respect and a shirt, and he fucking threw it away. I was like, all right, dude.
You know, the next live CMS show, I'm going to make a bunch of fake CMS shirts and put them in a garbage can like 4 foot from Neeley, just to fuck with him.
Have a half bald guy stand next to it. Is Eddie Trunk? Have a guy that looks like he's fucking rotting away from AIDS or something. It's Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie does. The fat guys lose weight too fast. You look AIDS-ish.
Yeah,
it's better to stay fat.
Does.
He's been doing that a long time. I remember when he was just a
fat
regular DJ,
dude. Yeah, and
when
New
he started,
York, yeah.
he was well known. I mean, for many years.
Well, didn't he? Wasn't he like one of those players at Megaforce, like in the day, like?
Yeah, there was another DJ named Fingers. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, and him and Eddie are very well known in the East Coast.
Mm-hmm. Look, and again, I have no problem with Eddie. I like Eddie, and Eddie has been nothing but nice to me. You know,
and the other two guys in the show I've spoken with, they're very cool.
Yeah, well, both of them are cool.
The comedian is
Don Jameson
right.
and Jim Florentine. Florentine's great. Don Jameson, awesome guy. He was so nice to me at the Rock on the Range. I mean, he was like just the nicest cat. Came over, talked, just hung out for 10, 15 minutes, knew our show, whatever, which made it even more uncomfortable because he knew that we do a segment called "Is Don Jameson Funny?" and it was brutal because he comes over and he's like, you know, a lot of people think I am funny, and I was like, yeah, I've heard that.
Hey, at least he had a good sense of humor.
Yeah, he was cool.
I don't really care for the records either. I've heard some of those comedy records.
Yeah, they're not funny.
Yeah, and I saw him. I think he did a show at Ripper's old place.
Okay,
yeah, he did, and Poop Finger was like 4 feet from him, filming him the whole time. Like everywhere Jameson walked, Poop Finger was right there with a camera. And he came up to Hannah and I, and he goes, "What's the story on this fucking guy?" We're like, "Oh, he's okay." He's like, "It's Poop Finger," and he goes, "Poop Finger, is that his name?" We're like, "Yeah,
that's his name, sure." Yeah, I mean, Don's a really nice guy, but he's really not funny. I'm sorry, but he's not. You know, at least the comedy records, I've never seen him do stand up, and those records are not funny.
Now, has their TV show found a new home, or
not that I'm aware of? I know Eddie's got a new show without those guys on Access or something.
Yeah, I was going to say, how can not like Hulu or Access or somebody pick that shit up?
Is it similar format?
I think no. I think it's I think he's like doing like all sorts of music, and he's like, hey, you know, today we're going to talk about Heart. You know, there's a lot of different eras of Heart. First they were Barracuda, then they were Cheese Dick in the 80s, and then they came back to get the respect of Led Zeppelin. Here's Heart. I don't know exactly what I haven't seen it. I just saw that he had that show, and I can't believe that like Netflix or somebody didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
And, you know, you would think that there'd be an audience for it, but let's face it, hair metal, he'd have to expand. You know, I always argue, and like, again, Neeley doesn't like Eddie, so Neeley is just fine with that show being canceled. I think it's a big loss to the metal community that show is off, because there's no mainstream coverage now at all. Whether you liked it or you hated it or you thought Eddie couldn't do interviews or whatever.
I thought he could have did more with the format, but
he didn't have say.
Right.
Yeah, I read that. I was surprised about that. He didn't have say on the musical guests, right?
No, they picked, VH1 picked everything for him. And I mean, I don't know if you guys listen to his podcast at all. I do, and aside from him, like we were talking about earlier, aside from him trying to wedge cheeseburger commercials into interviews and shit, you know, aside from that, he does really, really good interviews. When he's doing an interview,
right.
You know, he does very good interviews, I think, personally. And he could do something if he wanted to. The problem Eddie has is that Eddie is driven by dollars only. Eddie only wants to make money. And that's fine. I get it. Yeah. You know, I get it. And bravo to him for getting his book out and everything else before VH1 canceled his show so he could sell more books than he will now. But
I like when he did on his website that you could submit your CD, and for $150 or whatever it was, he would review it.
Wow, what a guy.
There was a period at one point, you could send it with your promo pack and pay him, and then he'd write a review. He wouldn't do it on a show or anything. He'd just write it and send it.
Well, I know for a fact, and I'm going to share something that I probably shouldn't, and I won't say where I know this from. I'll just share that I know for a fact that he was pitching a syndication company about his show. And what he wanted for his show for a week was about 6 times what anybody else was getting.
Wow.
And the syndication company couldn't pass on him fast enough. And that's why he never made it into any of the big syndicates, because he thought his show had more value than it did. And literally, because of his pricing, that's why a lot of the shows, and I won't name them because it'll give away the syndication company, but it's why a lot of the national shows that you may know of now are out there. Because what the syndication company did was signed this show and that show and this show and that show, signed 4 for the price of what they would have done for Eddie, and pushed them national. And I know that I know 100% that that's true. And Bill, you know who I know from?
I do. I didn't know you were supposed to say anything though.
I'm not. Well, I'm not saying where I know from. I'm just saying.
I'm just surprised you just said what you just did.
I'm just saying that I'm not going to say what company it is. I will not share that, and I won't share it even if people message me.
People are Googling right now trying to find out.
Well, that's why I didn't say the other shows either. Because if you said the other shows, then you could track back.
All I know is Loud, Drunk, and Angry took over a slot on Uncontrolled Noise, and I'm very happy for it. Yeah.